Imagine the joy and happiness of a child growing up. But now imagine an innocent child growing up in a war zone that has destroyed their home and taken over their entire life. They can't go to school and don't even know what the next day will bring for them, life or death. It's not safe enough for them to play or to stray from their family side. This nightmare is exactly what is currently happening in Syria as the Syrian Civil War rages on.
Syria is a country in the Middle East bordered by Lebanon, Turkey, Israel, Jordan, and Iraq, with a population of 18.27 million.
The violence of the Syrian Civil War first began on March 15th of 2011. The conflict was initially sparked when teenagers were arrested for painting democratic slogans on a school's wall. Further crimes, they were also rumored to be tortured by police. This began a series of democratic protests to start in the city of Daraa. The government's reaction to the protests only fueled the protesters' fire. The government, along with President Assad, made promises to meet the citizens' needs, but later in 2011, Assad abolished the state of emergency, which had been in effect for 48 years in Syria. Overall, the groups involved in the Syrian Civil War include Al-Qaeda, ISIS, the Syrian government, rebel groups, Kurdish forces, and assistance from the U.S. troops.
Dangerous conditions. In August of 2013, the Syrian government used chemical weapons against its own people. Rockets were launched with sarin to the suburbs of Damascus. Hundreds of people were killed. Chemical weapons and bombs prove deadly no matter who they are targeted for. The death toll was about 400,000 Syrians in the first 5 years of war, and around 500,000 people were dead after the 9th year. Whole cities were destroyed and constantly the center for conflict. 1.75 million Syrian children still in Syria don't attend school. In total, the Syrian conflict has put 2.8 million children out of school, both abroad and inside of Syria.
Assistance from the United States. May to August of 2011, the United States Works officially declares that they will not be helping Syria at all. The United States transactions with Syria were blocked, and people of the United States are not to deal with people of Syria. September of 2011, European Union banned the import of Syrian oil. The United States became involved in the war in 2014 when President Obama launched a U.S. air campaign against the Islamic State in Syria. The first 50 American ground troops entered Syria in 2015 and have only increased since. In total, the United States has launched airstrikes on 17,000 locations in Syria. U.S. forces have accomplished capturing and killing thousands of enemy fighters. President Trump has withdrawn troops from Syria after the victory over ISIS.
The Syrian Civil War has caused a major displacement crisis. 11.9 million Syrian people are displaced by this civil war. About 5.7 million registered refugees have fled the country.
Many refugees, mostly children, have defected into neighboring countries such as Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. This including 2.5 million refugee Syrian children that have moved to these close. U.S. troops have withdrawn from Syria since defeating ISIS, but people are still dying and the civil war continues. Sending more troops will only cause more conflict, while having more peace talks, especially through the UN, will allow an end to this brutal war to come soon. We need to do our part to help send needed supplies to those civilians struggling to hold on to their lives in their destroyed homeland that has become a war zone. It's time for us to do our part as decent human beings.
Click on the links below to donate monthly to send aid to Syria or take action to resolve this life-shattering civil war.